If you clicked on this video, there's a good chance you're tired. In a way, sleep hasn't really fixed. Not just physically. I mean the kind of tired where you wake up and immediately feel pressure in your chest. Before your feet even hit the floor, your mind is already running. You check your phone. You replay conversations. You think about bills, relationships, problems you still don't know how to solve. And after a while, even normal things start feeling heavy. Answering texts, making decisions, trying to act okay around people when internally you feel stretched thin. Maybe your marriage feels distant lately. Maybe someone you love has emotionally pulled away and you keep wondering what changed. Maybe you've been carrying financial stress so long that your body never fully relaxes anymore. And honestly, maybe you're exhausted from praying about it too. Because you have prayed a lot. You've tried to stay hopeful. You've listened to sermons. You've told yourself to trust God. You've promised yourself you'd stop overthinking. But at 2 inches the morning, your mind still spirals anyway. And I think one of the loneliest feelings as a believer is when your faith starts feeling more like survival than peace. You start thinking things you almost feel guilty admitting. Why does this still hurt so much? Why do I still feel anxious? Did I mess something up? Meanwhile, everybody else online looks calm and blessed and emotionally stable, and you're just trying to make it through the week without breaking down in your car. I used to think feeling this overwhelmed meant I was failing spiritually. But now, I think sometimes we're just carrying things we were never meant to carry alone. And maybe the answer isn't trying harder. Maybe it's learning how to stop fighting every storm with your bare hands. Because peace is not the same thing as having a perfect life. Sometimes peace is just finally realizing, I cannot control everything, and maybe I was never supposed to. When life feels unstable, most of us go into fixing mode. We overthink everything. We rehearse imaginary conversations in the shower. We type long messages and delete them. We keep checking our phone even when no new notification came in. It's strange because part of us really believes, if I say the perfect thing, maybe I can stop this from falling apart. So we grip tighter. Tighter control, tighter pressure, tighter anxiety. And after a while, your nervous system just gets tired. You can feel it physically sometimes. Your stomach drops when your phone buzzes. Your chest tightens over small things. You sit down to relax, but your brain still feels on. And honestly, sometimes the thing destroying your peace is not only the situation itself. It's the constant pressure of trying to manage the outcome. Now, I know hearing let go sounds unrealistic when something important is falling apart. Because caring deeply is human. But there's a difference between caring and believing everything depends entirely on you. For years, I lived like that, always trying to hold everything together, always trying to fix people's emotions, always thinking if I worked harder emotionally, maybe things would finally feel stable. But eventually, that kind of living burns you out. Because you start acting like the savior of every situation, and that pressure quietly crushes you. Biblical surrender is not laziness. It's not giving up on people. It's accepting that God can hold things together in ways your anxiety never could. That sounds comforting now, but honestly, when I first understood that, it scared me. Because control can feel safer than trust, even when control is exhausting you. Let me explain this the way it finally clicked for me. Imagine being in the middle of a hurricane in a tiny rowboat. Waves everywhere. Wind screaming. Water constantly pouring in. That's what anxiety feels like sometimes. You keep trying harder, thinking harder, managing harder. You try to fix every conversation, predict every outcome, prepare for every worst-case scenario. But no matter how much effort you use, you still feel overwhelmed. Because human beings were never designed to carry that much fear alone. Now imagine something different. Deep below the surface of the ocean, there's a submarine. The storm still exists above it. The waves are still violent. But deeper down, the water is calm. quiet, still. And weirdly enough, I think that's what abiding with God actually looks like. Not pretending storms don't exist, not becoming emotionless, not magically escaping pain, but learning how to live deeper than the panic. Because most of us keep asking God to remove the storm immediately, and sometimes He does. But sometimes, His first response is teaching you how to remain steady while the storm is still happening. That changes the way you suffer. You can still feel grief without completely collapsing. You can still have unanswered questions without losing yourself in fear. You can still be uncertain about the future and somehow feel held at the same time. That's real peace. Not the absence of problems, the absence of chaos controlling you. And honestly, I didn't understand this for a long time. I thought peace meant everything finally working out. But sometimes peace looks more ordinary than that. Sometimes it's just being able to breathe again. Being able to sit in silence without mentally spiraling. Being able to sleep for the first time in weeks without your thoughts racing. That kind of peace feels small from the outside. But when you've lived anxious for a long time, it feels huge. So how do you actually live this out in real life? Because trust God sounds nice until your mind is racing at 1:47 a.m., staring at the ceiling. Here are 3 small shifts that genuinely helped me. Not religious performance, just practical surrender. Switch 1, let go of the outcome. This one is hard, because when you love people deeply, you want guarantees. You want certainty that the relationship will heal, that the future will work out, that things will finally feel okay again. But some of us are emotionally exhausted because we've been trying to carry responsibilities that belong to God. So sometimes you have to pray honestly. God, I don't know how this ends. I don't know how to fix it, but I give you what I cannot control. Not because you suddenly feel peaceful, but because surrender usually happens before peace does. Switch 2. Interrupt the panic. When anxiety becomes physical, slow your body down first. Because sometimes your thoughts move so fast, you can't even hear yourself think anymore. One thing that helped me was simple breathing prayer. Breathe in slowly. Lord, I give you this fear. Breathe out. Give me your peace. Again, slowly. Not to sound spiritual, not to force emotions. Just to remind your body that panic is not in charge right now. Switch 3. Stop only praying for escape. This changed me the most. I used to pray, God, get me out of this immediately. And honestly, when nothing changed quickly, I felt frustrated. But over time, my prayer became, God, stay with me while I walk through this. That's different. Because sometimes God doesn't instantly remove the fire. Sometimes He strengthens you inside it. And when you experience that kind of peace even once, it changes the way you go through hard seasons. I don't know what you're carrying right now. Maybe nobody fully knows how exhausted you've become. You smile. You function. You say, I'm okay. But internally, you've been surviving for a while now. And I think God sees that. The overthinking, the fear, the nights you can't shut your brain off, the moments you sit in your car trying to calm yourself down before walking inside. I don't think His response is shame. I think His invitation is rest, not pretending life doesn't hurt, just resting from the pressure of trying to hold the entire world together by yourself. So if this video spoke to you, type this in the comments. Lord, I'm letting go of the storm. Not to sound spiritual, just as one honest moment. And if somebody came to mind while watching this, send it to them. Because sometimes people don't need perfect advice. Sometimes they just need someone to remind them they're not alone in what they're carrying.